It is now time for our weekly political segment, Texas Face Off. Joining us this morning is Tara Pohlmeyer. She's the communications manager with Progress Texas, and Andy Hogue, who is the communications director of the Travis County Republican Party. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
So last week and falling into this week, we're starting to see these ultimatums, if you will, from Governor Greg Abbott to Mayor Steve Adler regarding homelessness. Just for our viewers, so you guys have a backtrack, the Austin City Council repealed some of the homeless ordinances, so people can now sit, lie, and camp on public streets. And the governor has been very vocal about how much he does not like this new policy. And now he says if Mayor Adler doesn't fix it by November 1st, he's going to fix it. Andy, how could he fix it?
Well, first of all, this is our capital city, so there's that. Secondly, a little-known fact is that our cities are incorporations of the states. So if the state of Texas would like to do something in terms of managing what a city is doing, then they have that right. They can come in and absolutely use the powers of the governor or the legislature if the session rolls around to reverse a lot of what Austin has done. And let's face it, it's a big mess.
Tara, what is your response to the governor stepping in?
Absolutely. I think we see a lot of the governor pointing his finger at the city of Austin when this is a statewide issue. So people experience homelessness in Dallas, in Odessa, in the Valley, and any city that we have in Texas. And the fact is that the governor has done nothing to solve this crisis for one of our most vulnerable populations when it comes to our state. And when we see people experiencing homelessness, we know that comes from a lack of resources, and so we'd like to see the governor, put his money where his mouth is and actually work with Austin to help solve this crisis. We're proud of Austin for decriminalizing homelessness because I think that is not helping those who are experiencing homelessness, and so we are excited to see the governor, kind of jump on board with us and really, want to solve this issue for our neighbors.
But do you think that Austin took the right step with this policy? I mean, obviously these rules were put into place for a reason at some point prior. For them to go ahead and repeal them, do you think this was the right move?
Absolutely. This was an outdated ordinance that Austin had on the books, and it should not be a crime for someone to experience homelessness. These people are part of our community, they are our neighbors, and they deserve dignity and respect the same as everyone else. And so we'd love to see the governor put forward policies like affordable health care, like equitable education and affordable housing that would really help people experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, but Andy, this policy is really unpopular with a lot of people, and especially with a lot of Republicans. In fact, the chair of the Travis County Republican Party, Matt McCoviac, started a petition to try to get this overturned. Why is this so unpopular?
Well, it's kind of like this. I have children, and if they mess up their own room and then say, hey, you pay me $5, I'll clean it up, I say that's not the way it works. So what we would prefer happen, I agree with Tara partially, that we have to arrive at a better conclusion. We don't have a good solution yet. But what we need to do is go back to the previous ordinance and then work from base zero rather than starting off with what we have now, which is a complete mess and nobody's happy with it.
Yeah, are you just surprised to see the amount of people that we're starting to see on the streets now?
Yes, I think it's the same number roughly. We may have turned the bat signal on for homeless people for all I know. We'll see what the next census says. But I think what we did is we just took the homeless population from the camps, from the green belts, and now they can move all over the city, onto the sidewalks, onto next to private property. It's, like I said, it's probably not more homeless people, but more activity and more visual, which I think is probably Mayor Adler's goal, to make it visual and to then make the case for more funding for shelters and mental health funding, things like that.
I mean, isn't that a good way to make, you kind of made the point that I was going to go with Terry. Isn't that kind of the point of all this, right? To bring this issue out of the shadows?
Yes, optics.
Yeah, so people can see it?
Pure optics.
Yeah, do you feel like this, it's a good strategy?
I don't think it's a strategy by any means, and I think these people, many of us are, one paycheck away from experiencing homelessness, and I think that when we need to care about our community members, it's something that now we are being faced with, but it does happen across the state, and so we think that Governor Abbott, again, should really help with this situation and not just point fingers.
All right, will be interesting to see what he does as we follow this. I also want to chat a little bit about, as we look towards 2020, we have several members of Congress who have announced, Texas congressmen, saying they're not going to seek re-election, particularly Republicans and particularly minority Republicans. And so this leaves a gap, if you will, within the Texas GOP of finding minorities to run.
Yeah. Well, you heard it from me first, probably not first, but our urban suburbs are kind of our weak spot lately. A lot of your more college-educated communities are against Donald Trump for whatever reason. I'll let other analysts go at that. But I do think that right now a lot of our more minority Republicans are in those districts. So that's what we're seeing.
And is it an issue with recruiting?
I don't think it's an issue of recruiting. We're pretty strong on that. We have a strong Hispanic Republicans of Texas organization in place. We have good outreach directors at the state level. Even on the Travis County level, we've sponsored the Juneteenth parade several times, and we participate in Cinco de Mayo. We're reaching out. We have a diverse county executive committee. So as far as I'm concerned, we're doing a good job with outreach. But I think, again, it's just a matter of where the chips lie. There's a lot of white faces in the Democratic Party as well.
Yeah, Tara, I'm going to guess that you're going to say this is just proof that Texas is turning blue.
Yeah, a little bit, but I would say that this is something that Democrats have been working on for quite some time, and we are proud to be the party that has elected more women, more people of color, more LGBTQ Texans across the years. I think I want to quote Judge Lena Hidalgo, or paraphrase her, from Harris County. She says, it's not about party, it's about the policies you're putting forward. And I think that's absolutely true when it comes to progressives and Democrats putting forward policies that really impact folks' lives, make sure that they're able to afford health care, make sure that immigrants are welcomed into our communities, and we don't see GOP members doing that. So I have to disagree. I don't think the recruitment efforts are really working there.
Well, I'll disagree with that.
Yeah, lots of disagreeing. I mean, why would you say you disagree to that? Is there actual policies that you feel like people of color can cling to within the Republican Party?
Well, personally, I think there's a lot of paradigms at play, a lot of expectations. Like if I'm black, I vote Democrat, or if I'm homosexual, I vote Democrat. But that's not the way it has to be. We can put economics first. We can put, the military first. There's a lot of priorities. So I think it's just a matter of shifting our priorities and maybe looking at things instead of black and white and Hispanic, maybe looking at it in terms of, okay, are we for the size and scope of government being increased or decreased?
Focusing on issues. All right, interesting stuff. Obviously, we could talk about all of this all day, but that is our time. So we thank you both for joining us this morning.
Time,
yeah, if you guys missed any of this, you can rewatch it on KVUE.com right after the newscast.